I tracked my husband to a secret mansion. I expected to find a woman, but what I found instead will haunt me for the rest of my life. My name is Jana. I have been married to Chief Badmos for 5 years. 5 years of cold silence, 5 years of miscarriages, 5 years of whispers from people who called me barren behind my back. My husband is what the world calls a good man. He donates to churches, he pays school fees for orphans, he feeds the poor. The community loves him. But in our home, we sleep like strangers in the same bed. Every Friday, he packs a small bag and disappears until Sunday. He calls it business travel. For 4 years, I believed him. Then one morning, I woke up and something inside me shifted. Not anger, not even suspicion, just a quiet, cold knowing. I hired a tracker. I had it fitted inside his G-Wagon while he slept. That Friday, when he left, I followed. He drove for 40 minutes outside the city, past the main road, past the checkpoints, into an estate I had never seen. A massive white mansion, floodlights, armed security at the gate. I parked my small Toyota far back and sat there, heart pounding. I told myself, Jana, you are about to see a woman. Prepare yourself. I climbed the back fence. I moved through the shadow of the compound wall, and then I looked through the window. What I saw through that glass was not a woman. It was something so wrong, so impossible, that my legs stopped walking beneath me. My husband was on his knees, not in prayer, in submission. He was kneeling on a red rug in the middle of a large sitting room, head slightly bowed, hands folded in front of him like a servant before a queen. And seated on a high-backed velvet chair, holding a glass of champagne, dressed in expensive ivory lace, looking rested and powerful, was a woman I recognized immediately. My mother, Mama. The same woman who calls me every week crying about money for Panadol. The same woman I send allowance to every month. The same woman I call my safe place. She was sitting in that chair like she owned the world. I pressed my hand over my mouth. My husband raised his head and said quietly, Mama, the transfer has entered? She nodded slowly. Then she said something that shattered every version of my life I had believed in. She looked at my husband and said 4 words I will never unhear. 4 words that explained every miscarriage, every hospital visit, every night I cried alone and told myself God was testing me. How is Amaka doing? My husband asked. That is my other name, the name only family uses. My mother swelled her glass and said, She is still vomiting. The doctor says they cannot find anything. My husband nodded. Good. Good. He said good. My mother laughed, a dry, comfortable laugh, the laugh of someone who has made peace with a terrible thing. Her womb for your wealth, she said. Her pain for my comfort. That was the agreement. That has always been the agreement. I stopped breathing. The miscarriages, the constant sickness the doctors could never explain, the years of being told nothing was medically wrong, the shame I carried, the identity I lost. It was not medical. It was maternal. My own mother had traded my body, my children, my future for money and a mansion. She sat in that chair every weekend while I sat at home thinking I was broken. I do not remember climbing back over that fence. I do not remember driving home. I only remember sitting in my parked car outside our gate, in the dark, completely still. My whole life had just been rewritten in 4 minutes. I had 2 choices: walk back inside that house and scream until someone called the police, or disappear quietly and let them win. I chose neither. I went back to the mansion the next morning, not to confront, not to cry, not to beg. I went back with a plan. I called the same man who installed the car tracker. I told him I needed something more. He asked no questions. By Thursday, there were 4 hidden cameras inside that mansion, positioned perfectly. Living room, back office, the room where they met. I went home and I waited. I cooked, I smiled. I asked my husband how business was going. He said, "Very well, Jana, very well." I said, "I am glad." For 2 weeks, I collected everything. Conversations, confessions, bank transfer confirmations spoken aloud over phone calls, my mother laughing about my latest hospital visit, my husband discussing the next cycle. They were not careful because they had never needed to be. They had always believed I was the kind of woman who would suffer quietly. They were not wrong about who I used to be, but I was no longer that woman. On the 15th day, I copied every file onto a drive. Then I sat down and made a list of every person who needed to see it. And I started at the top. I sent the recordings to 3 places on the same morning: the press, the church board where my husband served as a senior elder, and the anti-corruption unit with a formal written report and every bank record I could access. I did not warn anyone. I did not give anyone a chance to prepare. By noon, the first journalist had confirmed receipt. By evening, the story was out. Within 48 hours, Chief Badmus's investors were calling. His church removed him from leadership pending investigation. 2 business partners released public statements distancing themselves. The mansion in Ajah was sealed by authorities on the 3rd day. I watched all of it from my sister's house where I had moved without telling him. My husband called 47 times in one day. I did not answer. Then my mother called. I stared at her name on the screen for a long time. This was not a woman calling about Panadol money. This was a woman who had sold her daughter's womb and was now watching the walls come down. I picked up the call. She was crying. And the first thing she said to me, the very first thing, made me realize she still did not understand what she had done. "They will arrest me," she said. "Jana, please, tell them you made a mistake. Tell them the videos are not real." Not, "I am sorry." Not, "I did not know how far it would go." Not, "Forgive me." Just, "Save me." I sat with the phone against my ear for a moment. Then I said, "Mama, I hope you are comfortable." And I ended the call. I have not spoken to her since. People ask me how I feel, whether I am healing, whether I miss her. The honest answer is that I grieved my mother long before any of this happened. I grieved her every time I lay in a hospital bed and she called to ask if I was okay, already knowing the answer, already knowing the cause. The wickedness of a stranger is a knife. You see it coming. You can defend yourself. But the wickedness of a mother is slow poison. By the time you understand what is killing you, it has already been inside you for years. I am not the woman who kneeled in suffering anymore. I am the witness. And the witness with proof is more dangerous than any weapon they thought they had against me. My name is Jana, and I am just getting started.